On today's episode, we're going to talk about the headlines in the last week. So let's fucking go.
In the proud spirit of America and in the proud spirit of our great country,
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
Alrighty. Well, it's my second episode. Hopefully it's a little bit more polished than the last time. Just trying to learn how to talk by myself into a microphone. Now I got a little video going, so I super official now. Thank you for anybody that's listening, watching, viewing, whatever. Appreciate it. I probably have one listener, which is probably my wife, but you know, whatever. First headline of the episode is one dead, two in critical condition after shooting at Dallas ICE facility. A 29-year-old Texas man opened fire on an immigration and customs enforcement facility in Dallas. This happened a few days ago. The second instance in 2 weeks of a gunman setting up with a rifle on a rooftop, opening fire and communicating a message through writing on bullets. This is an NBC article, so take it as you will. A bullet found near the shooter had the words anti-ICE written on it. According to the FBI, other recent shooters, including those who assassinated Charlie Kirk and killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, also had engravings messages on the bullets. The anti-ICE messaging surprised Joshua John's brother, Noah John. Said he didn't have a strong feeling about ICE as far as I knew. Noah John said his brother, who DHS officials said fired at ICE building indiscriminately. More ICE agents and law enforcement officers will be hired in response to the Dallas ICE facility shooting. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said, "We're going to hire more ICE officers. We're going to go out and hire more law enforcement officers. We're not going to stand for this in the United States." So my thoughts on that are it's just another instance of the radical left targeting something that shouldn't even be a dispute, but the leftist media has made it popular on their side of the aisle to criticize law enforcement, criticize ICE facilities. Obama deported, Mr. Deporter in Chief himself. He deported more than Trump, Biden, Bush, and Clinton combined. Nobody ever says anything about that, but the poor Mexicans that broke the law, came to this country illegally, should get the fuck out. And I like that they're being a little bit more aggressive. Don't believe what you see in the media. Media is, they're pushing a narrative on both ends. On the right, they're acting as if they're deporting everybody. Which, they're not getting record numbers of deportees or whatever. They're just doing what they should be doing, cleaning up the border, getting the illegals out of the country. And the left makes it as if, Mr. Hitler himself is deporting the Jews, and in this case, the Mexicans. Has nothing to do with just Mexicans, Somalis, potential terrorists, cartel members, drug dealers, just a lot of bad people. And yeah, I mean, this shouldn't be a left versus right issue. It should be a, hey, we have, it's not going to clean up 100% of the crime in the country, but it'll clean up, crime that comes from people that don't belong here. So here's a clip.
A spray of early morning gunfire near downtown Dallas.
Checking the cameras and have seen at least 3 people shot. Multiple people shot.
Law enforcement sources identifying the shooter as 29-year-old Joshua John, seen in this 2016 booking photo from a felony marijuana conviction. His target, an ICE field office where detainees were boarding a bus when the shots were fired.
Comenzaron como 20 disparos seguidos.
This witness says she heard about 20 shots, diving beneath her car with her 9-year-old son, hiding until police rushed her inside the facility. The Department of Homeland Security saying the gunman shot indiscriminately at the building.
We had 4 individuals that were shot, 2 of them deceased, including the shooter. The DPD was able to locate the shooter, who was deceased.
Authorities say they found Jean's body with a rifle next to it on a rooftop near the building. Police saying he turned the weapon on himself.
Early evidence that we've seen from rounds that were found near the suspected shooter contain messages that are anti-ICE in nature.
No law enforcement officers were wounded. This is the 3rd shooting at an ICE facility in Texas this year. While the motive behind this shooting is not yet known, Texas Senator Ted Cruz says the violence has to stop.
Violence is wrong. Politically motivated violence is wrong. We need to learn to work together without demonizing each other.
The suspect's brother tells NBC News they grew up in Texas and John knew how to fire a rifle, but didn't think his brother was interested in politics.
Well, there you have it. Between this, Charlie Kirk shooting, the CEO that got shot, constant targeted attacks, even, Justice Kavanaugh. Basically the left has set it up to where if you are on the right and you have right-leaning views, then you are the enemy. And you know what? The left is full of communists. That's what it is. Trying to change our way of life, our American values. And as Americans, we shouldn't fucking stand for it. Just a plain old bullshit from the left that's been going on for, it's gotten ramped up in the last 10 years, but back in the 90s when Clinton was in office, economy was booming. He ran things like the conservatives do now or want to now. He might have had a stain or two on a young lady's dress, but fuck it. He had a pretty roaring economy and did a pretty decent job. And that was the last Democrat that really did anything for the country. Since Obama, Mr. divisive man in chief, or whatever you want to call him. He kind of started this shit show. And if it wasn't for Trump, this country would be, it wouldn't look, it wouldn't look the same as it does right now. The only violence that comes from there's left violence and right violence, but the right violence is small factions of people. And I don't even understand why some of those people are considered right, because their beliefs are very left leaning, but somehow they got associated through media manipulation over, the last 20 years. The founders of the KKK and all that stuff, they were, that was all propped up by the Democrats. And somehow it got flipped. But, whatever. Our next story is going to be this lovely, lovely gem of a story here. Let me find the article here. Sorry, not really great at this just yet, but we're gonna fucking get there. You know, how about this? How about I just roll this clip?
In Jurupa Valley, a high school transgender athlete who's been at the center of a national debate back in the spotlight tonight. A.B. Hernandez won 3 medals at the state track and field championships last spring, and now she's playing on the girls' volleyball team. Several schools have actually forfeited games this season rather than play Jurupa Valley.
Well, tonight, A.B. and her mother spoke to us about her journey.
His mother.
KCAL News reporter Nicole Comstock joins us live now with the pressure Hernandez has faced and what drives her. Nicole?
Well, A.B. and her mom tell me they just really feel misunderstood.
His
and that
mom.
It's hard for them to watch people across the country getting into this very public debate about who they think they are and why they think they're doing what they're doing and what it really means for A.B. to be competing with the girls. So tonight, they're sharing their experience for themselves. Tonight at Jurupa Valley High School, everyone's hyped for the Jaguars to play the Tigers. And for one mom and her daughter in particular,
his daughter,
seeing these two teams come together and make this varsity volleyball match happen is a sigh of relief.
I'm grateful, thankful. As a mom, it means a lot. Those girls mean a lot because I know it helps A.B. get through these hard times.
Nareda is A.B. Hernandez's mom. She's watched her transgender daughter attract national attention for playing on girls' sports teams and winning several medals at state track and field championships. Critics have argued her biology gives her an unfair competitive advantage. Some even coming to protest her presence at sporting events.
Having to deal with the cruelty, you know, it's hurtful.
Recently, several local girls' volleyball teams even forfeited matches rather than play against her.
I understand other people not understanding.
Nareda says initially she didn't understand or accept her daughter's transition either.
It's just it wasn't normal. You know, I was raised Catholic. My parents were really strict with me. I have nothing but brothers, you know, so we're very, like in our house, like my parents' household, it was always very, like, machista, like very machista. So it was just like, oh my gosh, like, what is this?
She found out from other parents, she says, when A.B. started identifying as a girl on campus back in junior high, and even went to the school herself to ask why they were allowing that without her knowledge. But she says eventually she had a change of heart.
Shoot, you know, they're protecting the kids because of parents like me that we don't understand and we just get upset.
She says she felt like she was only hurting her daughter by not letting her be herself.
Your son.
And it was okay for her kid to teach her something new.
I did talk to her about how dangerous it is and how difficult it was going to be.
Yeah, because he's a guy playing in girl sports and dominating. No, he's not brave.
And when I
he's
seen
mentally ill.
her courage, it was just like, okay, like I'm gonna stand behind you.
No courage.
So tonight, when the Chafee High School volleyball
just like he
team
stands
showed
behind all the
up
girls in the
to
locker
Jurupa
room.
Valley, it meant a lot to this family and to the Jurupa Unified School District.
They share our belief that players are here to play, and kids are kids. We're letting our kids play because that's what they want to do.
And after the Jaguars won the match in 4 sets, A.B. decided it was time to tell part of her story in her own words.
His story.
They swear I'm like this crazy danger to society, but just a normal kid going to school, playing sports.
She tells us she made all of her friends through sports, and that's why she's here. She says she's not playing on girls' teams to take anything away from them.
People just see one thing and then it's like, oh, that's what you are. And they don't take the time to get to know me, so it's just like a little frustrating.
She wants people to know that she trained hard and overcame injuries to win her track and field titles in solo sports. But competing on a volleyball team now, she hopes that people see that's why she's here, to be a part of that team.
A team sport, I can't take that. It's a team effort, and my team needs to be willing to fight with me, and that's what it takes to win a team title.
And A.B.'s mom tells us she hopes that A.B.'s story shows other parents with transgender children.
Okay, I can't do it anymore. So there's a difference between boys and girls. I have 2 boys, and they're very different than all of my friends that have girls. They're in a league of their own. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And I have friends that have 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old daughters. And my 3-year-old is more athletic than their 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old daughters. I mean, what kind of fucking world are we living in? Where we can pretend like you literally have a presentation on the news about how brave this person is, and they have all these titles. Well, yeah, they have these fucking titles because they are a man playing against women. I mean, go listen to 5 minutes of Riley Gaines talk about how Leah Thompson, she had to, I forget what it was, she had to split her win or something or whatever with Leah Thompson. And Leah Thompson wasn't even ranked, wasn't even good enough to be a college swimmer for men. So he decided, oh, I'm going to pretend to be a fucking woman. Yeah, okay. And you're dominating female sports where these women work really hard to get to these points. Or, let's just break it down back to high school. Girls just aren't as strong. They're not as fast. They're not as athletic as boys. And just because you masquerade as a female, when you're a man, you're going to win every time. Like, there's a place for people like this to be, and it's called a mental institution. Like, they shouldn't be playing against girls in sports. Yeah, you should get pushback. Because I know if I had a daughter, I'd be fucking pissed. Like, this whole topic makes me so confused. Because I'm 33 years old. I'm not that far away from the high school days. And this was never a thing when I was in high school. I mean, you had your gay people and you had your people that were a little strange and whatever, and you had your flamboyant men or boys or whatever, and they grew up to be gay or whatever. And, or they are gay, however you want to put it. And that's fine. Do what you fucking want. I mean, if you want to be a guy and you want to pretend to be a girl, that's fine. But you don't get to infiltrate female sports because, well, I feel like in my heart that I'm a woman, and so therefore I should get the same respect as a woman. No, fucking girls go through so much. Their bodies from 8 to 10 to 12 to 15 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60, they change. Their hormones go in and out. They have children. It changes a lot about them mentally, physically, emotionally. As a man, you don't understand that. And it's funny how all these feminists out here want to promote, women empowerment, and the man is holding these women down. Well, you know what? Caitlyn Jenner, which is also a man, won Woman of the Year a few years ago. So, I mean, men are back. Men are winning. Men are winning women's sports, men's sports, Women of the Year. I mean, fuck. If you want to keep this going, then, I mean, men are just going to keep dominating society. And you can pretend, you can sit over there in your little bubble and pretend like these men pretending to be women are, they're so brave and, they need equal rights and blah, blah, blah. No, fuck them. They have mental illnesses. If my 3-year-old gets to 10 years old and says, hey, Dad, I think I'm a girl, I'd be like, shut the fuck up. Go back and play on your quad. Or, go keep playing with trucks. There's zero right now. Zero of any femininity within my child. And, society has made it popular for young boys to pretend or think that they might be the other side. No, there's no such fucking thing. I don't care if you get your balls and dick chopped off. Doesn't matter. You're still a fucking man. You don't have the parts to have children. You don't have the chromosomes. You die and 200 years later, they dig up your body, they're going to know you were a man. So, again, like I said in the last episode, facts don't care about your feelings. And if you're one of these people that thinks that men can become women, women can become men, there's a reason why you don't have the problem on the other side where women pretending to be men are playing in men's sports, because they would get killed. Like, that's not even a thing. So you got to think of it from a logical perspective that obviously if it's not happening on both sides, then there's a problem. And it's because if I right now shaved my goatee, grew some long hair, got some titties, and said, oh, I'm a woman, I'm going to go do a powerlifting competition. Well, I would probably beat 90% of the women that I compete against. Obviously, I'm 6'3", 260. I mean, yeah, I'm going to fucking whoop some ass if I'm playing against the women. There's a reason why men and women have separate sports. And WNBA players can't go play in the NBA. They could try. They would get their ass whooped. LPGA can't. Every time they've tried to cross over into the PGA, they don't even, most of the time they don't even qualify because they can't hit the ball as far. And it's nothing against women. There's some very talented women in sports, volleyball, golf, basketball, all these things, but they're in their own league for a reason. And pretending like they can, men can just cross over to women's sports is just fucking insane. And this whole topic drives me insane because when I had children, I was fortunate enough because I always thought that I was meant to have a boy to raise a man in this world, because I've seen the decline of masculinity over the last, basically my whole life. Good old pussification of America. And I was like, I need to raise men in this world. And men, raising men in this world doesn't mean that they're more important than women or any of that. It's just raise a strong man that works hard, that provides for his family, that makes him feel safe, secure, and loved, and treats women with respect. And when you push this false thing on young minds that they can be something they're not, they grow up to have mental illnesses. I mean, this mother of her son pretending to be a girl should be ashamed of herself. She even said in the clip that this is a difficult situation. Well, yeah, because you're going along to get along. Like this whole idea that your kids are your best friends, or, I'm going to take my kid and I'm going to put a tablet in front of them because that's easier. That just entertains them. That makes life easier for me. Well, that's how we get to this point. That's how you get soft men in this world, or men pretending to be women. I don't think the problem is equal on the other side. I would probably say there's more men pretending to be women than there are women pretending to be men. But it definitely goes both ways, and it's just sad. I mean, this world needs strong men and women, whether you're a feminazi or not. I'm talking new wave feminism, not women with the right to vote and all that bullshit. Like that's, that all makes sense. But this new age thing where the man is the enemy, the man is the problem, we assume things when we see women, we look at them. Yeah. By nature, when we see a pretty woman, we're going to look, obviously. Just like when a woman sees a really attractive man, 6'6" bodybuilder with a fucking six-pack, yeah, she's gonna look at him and go, I like me some of that. Same thing on the other side. We might be a little bit more loud about it. I don't agree with men catcalling and all that bullshit, but whatever. I mean, that's just, guys being guys. And when it crosses that line of, harassment, assault, God forbid, rape and all that stuff, then yeah, of course, anybody that participates in that stuff should get, a public hanging. But yeah, this whole war on men, toxic masculinity isn't a bad thing. And I don't even think it's really a thing. I just think it's some manufactured bullshit from the new wave feminist to try to kind of hold us down and make us just demasculine, or how do I say that? Basically feminize the male culture in America. And no, do I agree with a man seeing a hot woman at a bar and grabbing her ass? No. You know, to me, a man, you go up to her and you go talk to her. Shit, that's how I met my fucking wife. You know, my best friend told me, hey, you should go talk to that pretty girl at the bar. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then I walk up to her, I go, hey, I'm Nick, can I buy you a drink? And then the rest is history. Now we're married with 2 kids, living happily ever after. You know, and no real man went up to a woman and said something crude or whatever. And sometimes women fall for that stupid shit, but, you know, they learn later on that that's, you know, not what they want, obviously. Yeah, I just, this whole transgender topic just lights my fucking hair on fire. But, you know, parents need to raise stronger kids. Get them off the tablets. You know, when I say, you know, a lot. Anyways, when I take my kids to a restaurant, one of them starts acting up. They don't get a tablet at dinner. They don't get a tablet ever. I mean, a tablet is just a device to give your kids so you don't have to be a parent. Well, my job is to parent. That's why I had kids, is to parent them and raise them into, you know, adulthood, and then push them out and hope for the, you know, hopefully I did a good enough job. And nobody really knows whether they do a good job or not until you get to that point. You know, you can think, oh, I'm a gentle parent. You do this certain thing, that certain thing. I'm going to get them to this activity or that activity, or I'm going to say things in this way or that way. That's all great, but you don't know until you get there. But one thing is for sure, when you get kids on electronics, you have them addicted to sugar, you know, you become their best friend. That's just a recipe for shitty children. And that's what we've seen. You know, this kind of thing started back in the 80s where, you know, they wanted to be their kids' best friends. And instead of parenting them, they coddled them, or goddamn fucking flies. It's just bullshit. You know, people need to grow the fuck up and start raising their kids the way they should be raised. Strong men, strong women, depending on what you got. You should teach you should teach your sons to treat women the way they deserve to be treated. And girls should be raised to do the same for men. And that's pretty much all I got to say about that one, I guess. All right. Next thing is James Comey indicted for lying, or for perjury, basically perjured himself. And here is the clip for that one.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs.
Just kidding.
Director Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
Never.
Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
No. I needed to get that out into the public square. And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel.
He's just a liar. So after the indictment came through, James Comey decided to post on social media and pretend like he's an influencer and that he's big strong man.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump. But we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way.
Yeah.
We will not live on our knees.
Oh, yeah. You're probably on your knees a lot, you fag.
Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant. And she's right. But I'm not afraid. And I hope you're not either.
You should be afraid.
I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have
the one you weaponized against Trump? Interesting.
And I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
Let's fucking have a trial. Yeah, you should probably keep the faith yourself there, Mr. Comey. You know, this guy is just a giant piece of shit. Plain and simple. I mean, he weaponized, he's the one that came up with the fake Russia hoax, following the fake statements put out by the Obama administration while they're spying on Trump's campaign. And then after Trump's first term, when they rigged the election against him, because they came up with that false, COVID narrative that, everybody's going to die and you have to wear masks and blah, 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 blah. Let's shut the country down. And, Trump did aid in that a little bit. He fed into it, thanks to Mr. Fauci, Lord Fauci. I mean, this guy Comey, he's a piece of shit, giant piece of shit. Targeted Trump from day fucking one of him getting in office. And then he goes on the stand in front of Congress and he lies. Plain and simple. I mean, he just fucking, he said, oh, I didn't leak this. I didn't send this over to somebody to leak. And then, it came out to be that actually happened. And, I want to see more of this from Trump. I want to see more indictments. I want to see more of these crooked left politicians and bureaucrats in prison. That's what we elected him to do. And that's what he needs to fucking do. The Epstein file thing, I can get into that later. Obviously, I mean, if you are a logical thinker, you know that Trump is not in the files directly. I mean, he might be in the files, but not as a creeper like, the left tries to push out there. Obviously, if he was in the Epstein files, the left would have used that prior to the election to make sure that he didn't get elected. Do I think he's protecting, high-ranking people? Yes. And I think there's probably, 60 to 70% of politicians that are probably in those files. And was Jeffrey Epstein a CIA informant? Maybe. He probably had a lot of dirt on people because of all the shady dealings that he was doing. And that's, Trump is protecting the elites, which I don't agree with, but, it is what it is. I can't do nothing about it. I can sit here and be pissed off about it, but I choose to spend my time doing other things. I want to see indictments. We elected Trump to drain the swamp in his first term. And then after Biden weaponized the Justice Department against him to try to throw him in prison to keep him from being reelected the second time, and then he got through that, now everybody on the left is saying he's trying to seek retribution. Well, obviously, if you say he's seeking Jesus Christ. It's late. Goddamn flies, motherfucker. He's trying to seek retribution. If you keep saying that, obviously, the Biden administration weaponized the Department of Justice against Donald Trump, a political rival. So, yes, we want retribution. We want all of these leftist, crooked motherfuckers in prison. That's why we voted for Trump. And he needs to get his shit together and start doing something about it. I said on the last episode, he is second to none when it comes to foreign policy. He is doing everything he can to stop the Russia-Ukraine fiasco bullshit that started because of Biden and his weak leadership. And I think as of today, there was something, him and Bibi Netanyahu had a meeting and they are discussing peace talks and ending the conflict between Hamas and Israel in Gaza, which I think would be a positive move in the right direction. Now, I think both sides, Hamas and Israel, are both guilty of wrongdoings, and they're both pieces of shit. But, you know, we don't need any more foreign conflicts. We don't need anything that's going to rope the U.S. into foreign conflicts. And so Trump's doing fine on that, in my opinion. But he needs to get his shit together. Like, he needs to start dropping the fucking hammer on these crooked politicians, former FBI agents, Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, all that. They all need to go to fucking prison. And Comey has passed the statute of limitations, which is, I think, 7 years for other things that he perjured himself on. But the most recent one is what he's being indicted for. And I think it's a good step in the right direction. I think Trump needs to do more. I think he needs to put the fucking pedal to the fucking floor and start, yes, weaponize the Department of Justice against people that have broke the fucking law. We're all tired of this shit. Us citizens are just sitting here slave to the government, working our asses off to make sure that they get money that they don't spend correctly. And like right now, they're dealing with a government shutdown because the left wants all this money for, healthcare for illegal immigrants and all this bullshit. Well, you know what? Let the government shut down. Having 100,000 federal employees resign is a good thing, in my opinion. We don't need all that. We don't need to have hundreds of thousands or millions of federal workers. We just don't. If everything was brought back down to the local level where we pay local and state taxes, sure, that would run more efficiently. We don't need to be paying the federal government shit. Federal government doesn't do shit for us. And my biggest complaint is that Trump is just not doing enough to fucking seek retribution, because that's what he deserves. Like all these federal charges that they try to bring on him and throw him in prison for 400 years and all this bullshit. You know what? If somebody came after me like that, I was in a position of power, I would want to do the same fucking thing. And I think he is tiptoeing around it because he's turned into a politician. He's not, he's not the same Donald Trump that we elected in 2016. He's completely different. In a lot of ways, he's done a lot of great things. He's still, he's been able to implement tariffs that have brought billions of dollars into the country without causing inflation, like all of the experts said was going to happen. He unleashes our energy sector like no other president in, mine and my dad's and my grandfather's lifetime. And he's closed the southern border. I mean, those are big things that we all voted for, but we voted for him to clean fucking house. And that's all there is to it. So obviously I'm just a guy on a microphone on a podcast that has no listeners. But this is why I wanted to have this, so that I can get my opinions out there, because my opinions aren't, they're not unique to myself. They're a lot of people's opinions. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And so our last bit of news we have right here. I need to pull up the dealio, and I'm not very quick at it. This just happened over the weekend. Thomas Jacob Sanford, 40-year-old of Burton, Michigan, is accused of ramming his truck into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mormon church, in a Grand Blanc township. Just before 10:30 a.m., police said he got out of the truck and started firing on churchgoers with a rifle. About 150 people were attending service at that time. Police said Sanford then used an accelerant, likely gasoline, to set the church on fire. Sanford was shot and killed by police. Police confirmed that 4 people have died, 7 others are in stable condition, and 1 remains in critical condition. 2 victims were killed by gunfire, while the other 2 were found after the fire. Pull up this other one. Stated, we do believe that there was people up there that were near the fire and they were unable to get out of the church, the police chief said. So we do believe that we will find additional victims once we're able to search. Investigators also discovered explosives, but could not say if they were used to initiate the blaze. Police said that motive was still under investigation. The Marine Corps confirmed to Fox News' Garrett Tenney that Sanford was a Marine and served from 2004 to 2008, including deployments in Iraq as part of Operation Iraqi Freedom. He worked as an automotive, Jesus Christ, Nick, learn how to fucking read. He worked as an automotive mechanic and vehicle recovery operator. His last assignment was with the 2nd Marine Logistics Group in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and Sanford left the Marines as a sergeant. He earned several awards during his 4 years of service, including Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal, the Iraq Campaign Medal, and the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal. So my thoughts on this one are the left is going to try to push this as right-wing extremism, just because that is kind of the state of where we are right now. I wouldn't believe it. Right now there's a lot of left-wing extremism, and it's starting to ramp up. And the aggression towards the right is getting more and more aggressive. And the left is going to find any story, any avenue they can to pin this on right-wing extremism. My personal opinion is the motive for this has not come out yet, but I do think he probably suffered from PTSD. I read an article earlier that his son has a rare medical condition, and family members close to him have stated that his mental state has not been great recently. I don't know why he would target an LDS church for this. I mean, Trump put out a statement that this is more violence towards Christians. I don't know if that's the case. I don't want to speculate. It's an unfortunate event, and I'm, like many people, I'm kind of getting tired of seeing stories like this, mass shootings, things like that. This isn't a gun issue. This is a mental health issue, similar to some of the other stories that we covered, like the transgender student. That's a mental health issue. That's why there are transgender people committing crimes in record numbers. Pretty solid indicator that they have mental health issues, and we can't have peace with all of them until something is done about the mental health crisis in America. And that includes the transgender people. That includes our veterans. Our veterans are way more important than the transgender people, but the transgender people are being more violent. So I think that's a pretty good, pretty good thing to discuss and maybe have the conversation about at least. You have a lot of these parents out here that just want to act like, oh, little Johnny wants to be Christy. So yeah, I'm going to support her decision. No, that's just the weakening and femininity that is infiltrating America. And when it comes to the veteran, there is a veteran crisis. This country doesn't take care of veterans like they should. I think there's a lot of that has to do with them integrating back into society after going on deployments, being in war. And I think that's something that, if there's anything the government should do for people, it should be to support our veterans and their mental health issues and provide resources, good, solid resources, not the, go to the VA and talk to Lisa. She'll get you some paperwork. No, like some actual solid resources. And I think that the majority, obviously the left isn't going to support that because, the left is typically anti-veteran, anti-military, anti-America. But, the majority of the country is conservative to independent. So I would say the majority of us would support additional programs to help these veterans out. And I mean, also help the transgender issue too. When you have 12, 13-year-olds that are having their parents pay for them to get procedures. Yeah, I think most people, this is like a 90-10 issue as far as the transgender thing goes. Like 90% of us are like, no, this is weird. This shit's wrong. This shit doesn't make sense. But there's the 10% of the people that are screaming the loudest, their voices are being heard more so than the majority. But I guess back to this, it's unfortunate. And, there's going to be more stories. There's going to be more things that come out. There's going to be more leftist violence. There's going to be more violence that's pinned on the right that, could be. There could be. When you poke the bear long enough, us on the right can only handle it for so long. The right is made up of a lot of people that have families, go to church, we're not into disputes. There's, if you see us if you see the conservatives protesting, it's, we're holding American flags and, America first, things like that. You see the left, it is Antifa riots. They're going on parades with feminist marches, wearing vagina hats, and, the left is a bunch of fucking weirdos. Let's just be real. But I think that society needs to focus on the pinpoints in society that have mental health issues. And I think everyone has mental health issues to a certain extent. But the ones that are being violent, I would say, need to get the most attention. And it starts with the children all the way up until adulthood, and then veterans, adult transgender people. I just think that there needs to be a focus more on resources for people that have mental health challenges. And yeah, it's just unfortunate that we live in a world that has so much violence. But you try to keep on keeping on. Well, that concludes this episode of the Unfiltered Freedom Podcast. Like I said before, if anybody listens to this, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy my input. I think this is going to get posted to YouTube. I don't have a channel yet, but I will be starting that. Again, we can all make the world a better place by just being good people, good members of society, and lifting your neighbor up and loving on your family. So that does it, and I will see you on the next one. See ya.